You are listening to the It's Your Time podcast, and I'm your host, Certified Life Coach Michelle Arnold Burke. In today's episode, I'm discussing the impact words have on women's lives. Welcome to the It's Your Time podcast, the podcast where busy professionals like you get the practical solutions and support you need to gain control of your schedule so you can strive to be the best in your career, but without the stress and overwhelm. If you're looking to increase your energy and decrease your stress, you are in the right place. Hello. Welcome back to the podcast, friends. How is your summer going? I have to say, we are having fun. We recently came back from a nice long weekend away in New Hampshire at the water, and the weather was so nice. We were so grateful. The past couple times, actually, I think there's been like tropical storm warnings when we head there. So I was super appreciative of that. And now we are back at it in the full swing of closing, you guessed it, the most important quarter in the history of the company. And we are also back to the hiring process. So I have posted on LinkedIn. If you follow me, please go check it out. In fact, I try to do my best to repost when I see openings across all operating units of our company. So feel free to connect, check out the opportunities, and of course, DM me if you have any questions on that front. Okay, enough on that front. Let's go ahead and jump into this front and talk about today's topic. Now, you may or may not know that I have my master's in public communications. So I always am talking about and know the importance of words and how words matter. And today I want to talk to you about the impact of words on women's lives. And I want to break it down into three different areas. Number one, the stories that you've been told and maybe still believe. Number two, the stories you tell yourself and maybe pass on to others. And number three, the words you intentionally tell yourself for the future version of you. It's going to be so much fun. So let's just talk about first why this is important. I think it can be summed up in a quote that I recently saw on the socials from Dr. Caroline Leaf. We don't see things as they are. We see things as we are, which means if we pay attention, we will see that our current lives are simply the combination of the choices that we have made in life, right? It can be the partner that you're choosing to be with or maybe have left, the opportunities that you went after or maybe let go by, the time that you devote to yourself or maybe overextend to others. And knowing this is really great news because it means that if you're not happy where you are, you get to choose to change it. And guess what? You get to make that choice every single day. So let's start with the stories that you have been told and maybe continue to believe, because stage one is all about building awareness as to what your current beliefs are. And it's so important to start paying attention to this because a lot of times we think our beliefs are simply facts, like just the way life is. And when we think that, we are less likely to believe that we can make changes. When we start to question, what else might be true? Then we can start to see possibilities of new opportunities, new choices that we can make in our lives. And I think for a bunch of women, we have grown up with the socialized ideas that you need to be a good little girl. Ugh, just saying that out loud. Listen, I am the oldest kid in my family, and I have really believed this. To be honest, I think it wasn't until like last year, or no, I take that back. It would be this year when my dad passed that I thought, oh, I might not really be daddy's little girl after all. Now, let me just use this example and take it one extra layer deeper into the idea of subconscious work, which is a little bit more than what I've talked about here in the past because I talk a lot about mindset specifically. But things are changing. I told you this, right? I have recently finished a new certification for menopause specialist coaching, so be on the lookout for more opportunities around that. But I do want to kind of touch on this idea of subconscious work because it's so important. And it goes in line with the breath work that I do. I am breathwork informed as far as training, and I love my coach, Alessandra Caprice. I highly recommend that you check her out if you are interested in learning more. So it was actually in one of her recent breathworks that this idea of daddy's little girl came up. Now listen, I know once that first granddaughter came, I I was out of golden child status. And we joke in the family, and it's all fun that I was, right, always the good one and always followed directions and on. And I am sure if you're listening, you can relate at some level with sibling rivalries and being the quote unquote good girl, right? But even though I would say externally all of that, and I know that the granddaughters were all at the top of the list, at a deeper level, subconsciously programmed from years and years, right? I still had the belief that it was my job to be daddy's little girl. And that means many of my decisions, choices in life, have revolved around that idea, like looking for external validation from others, seeking permission from others to live my life. It's crazy, right? We look to other people's brains for the answers in our lives. Let's just pump the brakes on that, right? And another kind of area or opportunity to look at here with this idea is that my dad for sure was a hard worker. I mean, literally, he was telling the hospital staff that he was going back to work once he got out. And he thought the things that many of us think in line with the idea of money. Like you have to work hard to get money. Money doesn't grow on trees. And on and on and on, right? Think about what those thoughts are for you. Number one, around the ideas of working hard and needing to work hard. And number two, around ideas specific to money. And do you think that's just the way life is? That's what I thought, right? Again, I've made a lot of decisions based on those beliefs. But notice beliefs, my BS, belief systems, which side note, sometimes are full of BS, right? They're not facts. Beliefs are just thoughts that we have thought over and over, and we have developed neural pathways around them, and then we act accordingly. Hebbian theory talks about this, the idea that neurons that fire together wire together, which explains why, if we've been told these stories through the years, we just take them on as fact. But this is where we have the chance to change generational stories that no longer serve us. And I still work on the belief, right? That maybe some people also believe it's possible to not work as hard and maybe make even more money. I mean, look around. There are folks that take time to be super strategic, to dream, to plan, and perhaps can be way more productive in a shorter period of time versus the person that believes it all needs to be hard and runs around like a chicken with your head cut off, acting busy, maybe not so productive. So just take the time. I want you to really use a couple of minutes of your life and just write down some of the beliefs that you might have. And it might be easier for you to start by choosing one aspect of your life. So maybe you're looking at work, right? We've talked about work. We've talked about money. You can maybe look at your kids, maybe around thoughts regarding your spouse, and write down your beliefs about what that means to be successful in your career, to be a good mom, to have the perfect relationship. You know, I'm kind of putting all of that in air quotes, right? Because good and perfect, well, those alone are simply words. Really matters, right? What you think of them also. So just pick one area, make a list, and now decide when you're looking at these thoughts, some of them might be super useful for you to keep, but some of them might be holding you back. Like if you think that being a good mom means that you have to do the PTA events, but when you do, you feel super resentful and you wish you were doing, I don't know, anything else. Guess what? This is your opportunity to evolve. And this is where the discomfort comes in. A lot of times we talk about needing to evolve and change and sitting through the discomfort. These are the things that you want to look at that cause the discomfort, right? Because when you want to make changes, you might have to start telling people no. And if you have been believing that you need to seek permission, approval, be the good little girl, that's where this starts to challenge, right? You're kind of butting up against the ideas that you've had for so long. And when you start saying no or setting boundaries, people might start questioning why you are changing. And sometimes they question in a way that might have you second guessing what you are doing Because, again, you guessed it. If you're still holding that belief that you need the external validation from others, you will have this kind of push and pull of making that change. You see how it works? It's just so intertwined. And going back to the subconscious work, right? That's why it's so important to understand what it is you're thinking, to know what the stories are that you've been told over the years, because we need to know what they are in order to start unraveling those beliefs and choose on purpose the stories that you want to tell, the intentional words that you want to use for your future. So let's look at what are the stories that you're telling yourself. I talk to a lot of women, and I often hear things like, I'm not smart enough, I'm not doing enough, I'm not ready enough, enough, right? Again, enough of enough, right? Enough is enough of enough. Oh my gosh. You might not fully know what you're even telling yourself, right? Like saying that you're not doing enough might, again, just seem like the fact of the day. I didn't get enough done. But listen, that is not true. And it's so fascinating because there is some research that says we have like 60,000 thoughts a day. So you cannot possibly know all of them. This is why I suggest to take that little bit of time to really just start with 5 minutes a day and start journaling. You can just journal a stream of consciousness and you can pick a certain topic. I usually, for myself, just like to start writing and just dump whatever is going on in that brain out on the paper. And then I look at what is actually on the paper. That's when we become the observer of our thinking. It is a superpower. And so many people do not do it. They just live life reacting to everything around them. But once you see what you're thinking, that's when you get to decide if you want to keep thinking it. Kind of like cleaning out your closet, right? You take all of it out, you take a look around, you decide what you want to put back in and what you want to get rid of. Decide what you want to put back in that brain of yours. Which brings me to the idea of being intentional with what you want to tell yourself. Because listen, the results in our lives are basically like our habits that we do daily, right? And your thinking is a habit. So in order to create new results, we want to be intentional with creating new thinking. And this is to the benefit of your future self. And hear me when I say, I am not suggesting that you go from something like, I'm not doing enough, to I'm amazing and so full of productivity and power. What I'm suggesting is actually something that Patrick Sweeney talked about here when he was on the podcast. He was talking about his book, Fear is Fuel, which I totally recommend that you check that out, by the way. It was so good. It talks about the neuroscience surrounding fear and thinking and all of it. So good. Patrick Sweeney, Fear is Fuel. But he said that you simply go from A to not A. So you don't even have to go from A to B. You just have to start making a crack in the current thought, which will eventually break that neural pathway that we talked about earlier and allow you some openness to other possibilities. So if you're thinking that you're not enough, it might even simply be, I'm finding new ways to believe I'm doing enough. And then you take action. You start the new habit, perhaps, of at the end of the day, writing down 3 to 5 things that you did accomplish. Because listen, most of us go to bed thinking, oh, I didn't get that done, or oh, I didn't get that done, or oh, I still have to do that. It feels terrible, right? What I'm suggesting is that you reframe that and tell yourself the things that you did do. Start wiring those thoughts in place, and that will start building the new neural pathways. That is Hebbian theory. So now we are working on new intentional thoughts that we want to fire together to wire together and build that new habit. And I mean, honestly, you can choose either habit, right? You can keep telling yourself all the things that you didn't do. And guess what? You're going to be staying in the same situation that you currently are in. Or you can start finding all the things that you do accomplish in a day, which will give you a different feeling. Just check in with yourself on this. When you even just think the statement, I'm not doing enough, how do you feel? And then when you think the statement, I got my top 5 things accomplished today, how do you feel? My guess is much more motivated to keep going and to accomplish more, right? It builds this level of proudness. And we know, people always want to look for motivation as if it just like falls from the sky and all of a sudden I'm going to start taking action. No, what we need to do is start taking action, and then we build momentum, and that motivates us. So we need to show our brains all the places that we are doing things correctly, where we are accomplishing things, and that will allow us to feel more motivated, to keep building momentum, to keep feeling more motivated, and the circle continues, right? When you start showing yourself all that you are doing, it will create new results in your life. And also, let me just kind of throw this question out to you. What is enough? When you say you didn't do enough, you weren't smart enough, you weren't ready enough, whatever enough is for you, like whatever the subject is that you're tying that word to, when exactly do you think you will know that you've arrived? Like that it is enough, that you are smart enough, that you have lost enough weight, that you are ready enough. Think about that, really. What is enough? How do you know? Okay, let me give you the answer. It's when you tell yourself that you are enough. Again, the words you tell yourself matter. Those are the most important words. Yes, we can look to what society has told us, to what our parents have told us, but at the end of the day, guess who's talking to us the most? Ourselves. We talk to ourselves. We are in our head the most. And if you're anything like me, you're probably an overthinker. So you're in there talking a lot. We need to pay attention to what it is we're saying. And I'm just finishing up this book, The Mindful Body. Oh my gosh, it is so interesting. And in it, the author, Ellen Langer, she shares so many examples around the importance of mind-body unity and how our thoughts and our perceptions of what is happening influence our lives. Listen to this. I think it's interesting research around sleep and results because let's just be honest, I may or may not have the best sleep patterns. Again, that's a thought, right? People have lots of thoughts around my sleep. But when they looked at this research specific to sleep and how much you get, which is obviously a measurable act, they looked at the quantifiable malleability around the perception of sleep. So researchers programmed a bedside clock to alter the amount of time that participants thought they had sleep, irrespective of the actual time. And what they found was when the clock was sped up, so folks thought they had slept 8 hours, but really only slept 5, the reaction times were quicker on an auditory psychomotor vigilance test. Sounds very fancy, right? Compared to the performance when they knew they had 5 hours of sleep. Conversely, when people slept for 8 hours but thought they only had 5, the performance was worse when they had the 8 hours and thought they had 8 hours, right? So clearly demonstrating when they thought that they had more sleep, the reaction time was better. When they actually had more sleep but thought they had less, the reaction time was not as good. So it clearly demonstrates that our perceptions, our thoughts about subjects matter. You should go check this book out. There are so many fascinating examples. And this is just a simple one that we can look at in our daily lives, right? Like day to day, when do you tell yourself that you're tired? Oh, I'm so tired. Oh, it's just kind of like reporting the news, reporting the weather. Oh, I'm so tired. And then think about how you feel, right? Maybe you're not taking action on some of those things that you really do want to accomplish. I have to tell you, this damn Oura ring that I have, it's a complicated relationship because it is constantly telling me that my sleep needs attention. And I think I might soon just have to take it off and just tell myself what I think to stay on track. But think about it. Think about a goal that maybe you haven't been able to complete. And we can, yes, look at the day-to-day small things. I always say this is super important when we talk about like the compound effect and making small changes in our lives over time and how that leads to lasting change. But now I want to shift it a little bit, right? Think about a goal that you maybe have on a larger scale that you haven't been able to accomplish. Number 1, what is it? Write it down. Get clear on your intention. And then ask yourself, what do you think you will feel? Like, why do you want that goal? Think about your future self, the one who has accomplished it. What does she feel? Now, once you get that answer, why does she feel that way? Like, what is she telling herself that allows her to feel that? Okay, friend, here's the key to getting to that goal. You need to start thinking and feeling that now. So each morning, once you do the brain dump, do the quick journaling, and then remind yourself of how you want to feel, what you need to think during the day. And then put your brain to work on finding all the evidence of how that is true. That is the path to your goal. That is the impact your words will have on your life. That is what you need to do every single day to build on the compound effect. Because here's the thing. We think once I get there, I will feel better. Like, there is not better. We only have here. You need to start feeling what you think you're going to feel there, here. Have you noticed? I mean, think about some of the goals that you have accomplished. And then once you accomplish them, you just kind of like, reset the goalpost and start after the next goal. We need to start feeling what we want to feel on a day-to-day basis now, not when we arrive. So choose wisely. And listen, it's your lucky day. If you want help with this future self-work and how to work on changing your beliefs, I have a 6-week program that you can do at your own pace. Now, let me be clear. You get the lessons each week, and I did it in a combination of ways for you. So there is an option for audio only, video, and I will tell you, the way that you actually make the changes that you most want is by following and answering the questions in each lesson specific to your goals and what you want to accomplish. And if you happen to miss a week, you have lifetime access to it. So don't act like, I don't want you thinking that like, oh, I have to do this and put extra pressure on yourself. You get it dripped to you every week for 6 weeks. And you get to keep it for lifetime access. So if you happen to not have time one week to get it done, you still can go back to it. In addition to that, for the first 6 weeks, you get accountability coaching. So midweek, you'll get a check-in email with me. We get email coaching, and you can help with any questions that you might have coming up. And we can go back and forth via email. So it's super easy, it's super flexible, and it's only $147 for a one-time payment. And I was just looking it over again this weekend, and I actually was so excited to go back and look because I really wanted to make sure that you are aware there are options, right? You don't have to just sit down at a desk and do the coursework. No, you can listen to the audio. The worksheets are super condensed and efficient so that you get exactly what you need out of them every single day. And I love the option because you get to make it so much more personalized for you to get the benefits, especially with the addition of the accountability email coaching. So go to michelleburkcoaching.com/confidence. And again, remember, Burke is Bourque. That was a little fast, wasn't it? Let me just do it again a little bit slower. Mark always says you need to slow down on this thing. Bourque. So michelleburkcoaching.com/confidence. Now, once you purchase, you will get the info within 24 hours to get started. Reminder, you have one-time payment. We have 6 weeks of coaching on the go and lessons to help you. And of course, you always have me to easily reach out to if you have any questions as well. So go check it out, michelleburkcoaching.com/confidence. Okay, that's what I have for you today. Let's make back here next time. But for now, make it a great day. Take care. Did you know you can take this work to a deeper level with me one-on-one? Go to michelleburkcoaching.com and click on Get Started to begin.